everyone, welcome back to Pommy in Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. It's been a great weekend for me. I hope it's been a great weekend for you. If you are new around here, drop a like, drop a subscribe. Let me know you like the content. It does really help the channel out. We've smashed likes and subs out. I can't thank you enough. You're all legends in my book. You can go a step further and become a member of the channel. These legends did in the comment section below. They're an absolute great bunch. They allow us to do things like sponsor Domaku, do the giveaways, XYZ. And if you are returning Podnozer, g'day to you. So what we're doing today is we're combining two sections because obviously looking at the content, you guys and girls are really enjoying the previews and reviews. So I thought we'll do a bit of general AFL content, but we'll mix it up with my SuperCoach team. So let's have a look at how we got on in the world of SuperCoach this week. So as you can see, I'm really happy with that. I got slated as well in the comments. I'll tell you what, I say a lot of controversial stuff, have a lot of opinions on stuff. The most negative feedback I've ever had, without a shadow of a doubt, was my SuperCoach team. But you can see there, 2,293, top 14%. I'll cop that. I mean, tell you what, you got to listen to your Uncle Pom. He knows a little bit about this football game. So I thought what we'll do is we'll go through my team and we'll do a little review of each game as well and my takeout. So on your screen now is my beloved team. And let's go through game by game. I'll give you my thoughts on the game, who stood out for me, and I'll talk you through my SuperCoach team. So obviously we started the week, didn't we, with the Demons versus the Doggies. Now this game was seesaw, wasn't it? There was the wonderful fight back by the Demons, by the Doggies, and then the Demons put on their little show. It was a real seesaw affair, wasn't it, this game? It was a real good one for the neutrals. The legend that is Track really standing out for me. He was sensational in that game. He was a real strong influence. And really, there was many questions, wasn't there, that could Petrarca back it up? I thought the Track backed it up and then some. I thought he was sensational. Bailey Smith, he had his moments as well, really got into it. Jack Mcrae, as you know, he was my captain for this week. No surprise there, because for me, one of the best players in football, really. Really enjoyed his game. And as you can see there, he had 133 for me. Treloar and Dunkley. Treloar, I was a bit uncertain of. He had his moments in there, didn't he? I mean, all in all, though, I thought the Demons sent a message there. They were very ominous. Goals coming from all sorts, and particularly that Fritz-Brown combination is a real concern for me. It's going to be really hard to match up. I thought you look at the Doggies though, it's just not quite clicking, is it? And they really got overawed by the pressure that Melbourne put around the ball. It was really easy, 28 points in the end, and it was kind of too easy. When I look at the Doggies, I feel like they need a little bit more. I mean, when Norton kicks 4 goals, you kind of think they're going to dominate that. But outside of him, Treloar had his moments as well. There wasn't really much threat in the forward half. And I think that'll be something that they're going to work on towards the end of the season. But all in all, Mcrae was my takeout from that, from me personally. If you've got Track in your team, well done. I think it's too late to jump on now. I think that's one of them things that, pre-round 1, you're like, he's in it. But Melbourne, for me, looked very impressive and probably, quite rightly so, the team to beat. Then something happened, didn't it? Something happened. Carlton, my team, they ran out quite comprehensively in the end, did they not? 25-point win versus Richmond. And not surprised, motherfuckers. Not surprised. I'd been bullish for about 2 months. I really was in the zone on this one. I was really invested. As you can see by those who have followed my SuperCoach team, I've really backed in the new boys, Hewitt, Chera, but I'm on the Critchlow train 2022, and they were standouts. I said that 2 votes in the preview show was going to come from Sardar Doherty. Tell you what, they probably are, aren't they? I mean, that was an early call. But Carlton were really good, and I think from a fantasy perspective, but just also from an analytical perspective, whatever you do and who you follow, I think there's some really interesting people there in the Carlton side that you're probably going to be looking out for. Bam Bam will be one as well that I did think about in the team, and I didn't quite put him in. but he's going to be someone that seems to really flourish in that role. I think Doc and Saad, they're going to be little fantasy superstars. I think if you haven't got them in your team, get them in your team. Particularly Doc. I think the way that Quenton moved the ball in transition is really good. And that's what impressed me in this game. It was a battle of transition, and it was a battle in the centre and around the contest. And Quenton dominated that and played to their strengths. That's the first time I've ever seen a Quenton side play to their strengths for the majority of the game. And when they did it, they're untouchable. And we've said it before, under Teague and under Bolton in patches, Quenton can have moments. I think they found their niche there, and it's now long may it continue. Richmond, do I think that they're at the end of the dynasty? No, I don't at all. I think people love to, Quenton fans particularly love to downplay their wins, and I think the AFL relish it because they like downplaying our wins. Richmond had chances to win that, and they could have done. I think the difference was that Quenton found the secret, and I think when you go back to games like the Doggies, when they beat them a couple of years ago, there is a method to beat Richmond. And it is that intense pressure, really pack the contest, really work that clearance because they're not a centre clearance side. Quenton did that. I mean, sure, he's in my team, and I think he's always going to be someone who's a fantasy player. Shy Bolton, I can't stand him, so he's not going in my team. I find it hard to have anyone from the big three in my team unless they're a Jet. So, I mean, be it as it may, but very impressive performance by Quenton. And I will say this. I've watched every game intently. I don't think there's a midfield that can roll with Quenton when you bring Walsh in that. There is no midfield in the comp. Big call from Pom. No midfield can stack up against it. When Walsh comes back into that midfield, look out. Then we go over to St Kilda, Collingwood. Bit of a disappointing in this one for St Kilda, and it fucked my tips up. I mean, Jack Hayes was brilliant. As you can see there, he's on my sub bench, and I imagine he's on a lot of people's sub benches. He had a good game, didn't he? Let's talk about Collingwood though. Nick Dacos, my boy, one of my boys. I'm a big fan of him. He was sensational. I love a little bit of Nick. He really did show you what he's about. Lipinski was phenomenal. He was phenomenal. And there's no surprise there. I think the way that Fly sets up Collingwood, he's going to get that more midfield time. He's going to be a bit more utilised. I thought he was underused at the Doggies. It's no surprise to me. He's a very talented footballer, and I'm surprised more clubs didn't come in for him. Because Lipinski is a Jet, and for me, he could be in the upper echelon. He's someone that I'm trying to fight to get in the team in the next couple of weeks. Do I drop Caldwell for him? I might do. I might see how he goes for a couple of weeks before I do. Some disappointments though. Grundy, he had his 124. Probably should have had more, really, based on the start of that game. But for some reason, Marshall stacks up against him really well, and so does Hayes. So, I mean, is that a fall of an era you don't just know? Aside from that, I thought the game was really poor from St Kilda. Like, I'm not taking anything away from Collingwood. They did well and they did what they had to, but St Kilda just bomb it, and I think that takes away from their talent. I think they're a run and stun side. I thought tactically and structurally St Kilda were absolutely pissed. It was literally like watching Quenton of old. They had territory at times, but they just bombed it to that territory. They didn't get people around the ball. I thought Membry and Max King had opportunities. If they kicked straight, they could have won. Gresham was brilliant, though. But for me, that side, I can't quite put my finger on it. But tactically, it's woeful. And I think if you are a St Kilda fan, you may be in for a long, hard season. Then performance of the week goes to these guys, Geelong and Essendon. I thought Geelong was sensational. I really did. I thought there's a lot of talk. Stengel was one of my guys that I'm saying that you throw a bit of money at in the free agency. Obviously, he went with the lure of bets. Stengel is a gun, and you can see he's appreciated at Geelong. He's put his issues he's had off field behind him. He's sensational. He's exactly what Geelong need. I thought Geelong was a complete performance. Essendon were brilliant, but Geelong, man, when they play like that in regular season, is it a sustainable finals system? I don't know. But the way they control the game, I think why it comes unstuck for me is in finals, people are a bit more frantic. They're desperate to get the ball back. They kind of go a little bit higher. And I think that is where Geelong will come unstuck. But no Jeremy Cameron for the majority of the game. And they absolutely killed it, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? They absolutely killed it. Dangerfield was sensational. Stengel, Stanley gave them good first use. Stewart was electric down the back. Guthrie continued it. Parfitt chipped in. Atkins doesn't get enough kudos for me. Even Dalhouse looked pretty good as well. Real solid. What I look at Geelong, though, and this is one of my negative, is I don't think they have enough 9 out of 10 players. I think they've got a lot of 7 out of 10 players, which on the whole, in that type of game where Essendon kind of imploded structurally, they're going to dominate. How they'll go against Melbourne, I don't know. I think when they're against a big structured side, it'll be different. But let's be honest, it was an impressive performance. And for me, aside from my team, probably performance of the week, Geelong did impress me this week. Over to GWS Sydney. This was a weird game, but it was probably my favourite game I've watched as a neutral. I really did enjoy this one. It was a real seesaw affair. Luke Parker, for me, is one of the most underrated AFL footballers in the comp. No one talks about them. A good friend of mine, me and Joe Adamo, we were big on him in the off-season, saying that you'd maybe have a cheeky sniff. I don't understand why teams don't. Luke Parker is sensational. 5 goals as well to go with his 21 touches. He's a real complete footballer. I got a lot of shit for Tim Taranto. He did well, didn't he? 119 points. Could have been way more. Tell you what, Tim Taranto is in some form. Mark my words, big year for Timmy T. He looks brilliant. Like people were saying, he doesn't get midfield time. He's best 3 midfielders at GWS. Don't care what anyone says. Like, he's probably the second name on their team sheet when they're picking that. Do you know what I mean? Probably outside of Kelly. But for me, I think Kelly's just overrated because people base it on fantasy scores. Tim Taranto, for me, is the guy that you move heaven and earth for on that list. Heaven and earth. Timmy T. Can play across half forward, on the ball, can go outside. Battler, runs both ways, elite engine. Man, get him in your team. Green, though, was sensational, wasn't he? And it's no surprise he's a real top level player. But I really enjoyed this game. This game was seesaw. There was performers everywhere. Heaney was good. Golden, I really like him. Robot, I'm a big fan of him as well. I love that Sydney contingent. Am I shocked Sydney won? No, I think that they are easily top 4 this year. I'm a huge fan of Sydney. Long may it continue. Brisbane and Port, this game was a ripper, wasn't it? Lions don't surprise me. They look like they've got it, and I think their finals hurt is going to be someone else's hurt in the season coming up. They have no real weakness for me. When I look at their side, there's not real much weakness going on. I think they look a dangerous side. I thought Cam Rayner as well. He's not going to get much plaudits for this game, but based on having a year out, he looked in some dangerous positions for me. And Cam Rayner, for me, I think, look out, he's going to have a big year. A real big year. I really enjoyed it. Outside of, literally anyone else in that list, he's a guy that I really have a lot of time for. And I think he's going to be something special. Port just couldn't quite get the job done. I worry about that forward line at Port. I really do. And it's going to be interesting. I think if Dixon and Finlayson and Giordodis don't fire, I think they're in a little bit of strife for me. A little bit of strife. I think they do lack a tall target. The Talls didn't play particularly well this week. I think that is heavily reliant on them. But Travis Boak, again, continues to break the cycle of ageing. We know that Father Time is undefeated, but Boak was brilliant. Neil returns to form, not surprised. I think he's a bit of a crips about him last year. I'm pretty sure he was playing hurt, even though we don't talk about it very much. Then we go over to Hawks, North Melbourne. Now, those who remember last year, I'm a big fan of Sam Mitchell, and you saw Sam Mitchell in the 4th quarter really take hold. He made a lot of changes. They looked really solid. They ran over the top of North, and it could have been a lot more in the end. Not surprised. Hawks are that list is garbage. Let's be fair at Hawks, but he's maximised it because there's some players on there that are puffs. But let's talk about the good ones. Newcomb and Big CJ, phenomenal footballers, absolute worldies. Great to see Sicily back as well. I'm a big fan, but they've got some little things there. Joshua Ward, I'm going to keep a close eye on him. Connor McDonald is a guy that I'm a huge fan of as well. They've got something about them, Hawks. They're not going to do well. I'm not saying that they are. They're going to be bottom 2, but I tell you what, there is some good youth around there, and it'd be interesting to see what they do in the trade strategy. Really excited about that. Do they attack the draft hard, or do they maybe go for some senior players? I hope they attack the draft hard, though, because I think that they've got good nucleus there. They just probably need just a few little key placeholders, and they'll be fine. North Melbourne, I really enjoy North's list. Now, on the opposite scale of Hawks, I love the North list. I really enjoy the North list. And I think they'll be disappointed with this because there was a good argument for them to win this, and I thought they would do. But, I mean, like, Simkin was brilliant. Unanaki, again, another good performance. Aaron Hall seems to be the fine. Mcdonald as well is phenomenal. Horn Francis, I'm a fan of Horn Francis, but, again, this goes back to my pre-season predictions. I just don't think he's going to be the kind of guy that's going to set the world alight like a Dacos, like a Rochelle when we go and talk about him, who is my unadulterated boy. I just don't think he'll set the world alight, but he will do eventually. I think he's a very consistent performer for him. I really like their list. I thought Hugh Greenwood as well, probably the pickup of the off-season. People are talking about the Pinsky. North Melbourne doing it properly. You know, rip the system off, man. Like, problem with AFL is everyone's too nice. It's a competition, man. Start dodging people in trades. And let's talk about why. Now, there's a lot of people out there, and this is the worst thing about Carlton fans going, where are the people that say Chera's pick 8 isn't worth it? No one said that. No one said that now. You don't know football if you don't think he's worth pick 8 at least. What people said, and this is why I always say follow the draft closely, Josh Rochelle is one of them guys that was picked to go around that position. Josh Rochelle, when you know what's coming, game changer, and it's the modern day way for me to look at small forwards and players who play across the whole forward line. Look for soccer players, because it's basically playing on the shoulder of the last man with no offside trap. It's a piece of piss for soccer players. I watch football now and think I wish I had it in my life, because that was my job as a player when I played round ball. It'd be so easy because you learn anticipation, which I think some players lack. If you take away the offside trap from us, game over. I mean, I would have scored 1 billion goals if there was no offside, because that was how I played. I could anticipate where the ball was going before it was played. And Rochelle, man, he's something else, isn't he? 5 goals, 1. Absolute jet. But let's talk about Ben Keys here at Adelaide. I thought Adelaide was stiff here. I wasn't surprised 3-0 but no one's giving Adelaide love. That list is very good. That Adelaide list is very good. And I find it hard to like Adelaide, but that list is very solid. It's got some real good performers. I love the Dawson pickup as well that they did. I think Riley O'Brien, for me, is one of them guys, along with Darcy, who's trying to break that top 2 ruckman role. But Ben Keys, for me, is lightning. Lightning. Supreme footballer for me, and I'm a big fan. Brayshaw for Fremantle, really gone strength to strength, particularly with no Fife and with no Chera, because he's at a proper football club. He looked really good in that sole role now. I think Fremantle as well, they're only going to get better. I think Jordan Clark, he had some little moments. Caleb Sarong, he had some moments. And I think when you throw Fife into that team, it's a very good list. Lockie Schultz and Rory Lobb, I'm really too hot on these two guys. I really do like them. They were really impressive, and I really enjoyed Fremantle's game. And Fremantle will be one of them sides challenging for the 8, mark my words. We end with West Coast and Gold Coast, and probably the worst West Coast side I've ever seen out there. And it shows you, for me, what happens if you don't focus on the draft, because their list now is taking that turn. That's why the AFL draft is so important to our competition. And I think West Coast have made a mistake that they've waited till now to realise they've got a problem. They've got a lot of young talent and they've leached that WA system, which they do so well. But it's looking grainy when they've had a few injuries. Will it be bottom 2? No. Is it in the 8? No. Is it about 15 to 16? Probably. Some decent performers there. I mean, it's a time to get some backmen in, I'd say, at West Coast, because they are strong intercept-wise and getting cheap possessions. Outside of Redden, though, for me, and when Jermaine Jones is one of your best players, you've got problems at a football club. Let's put it that way. Do you know what I mean? It's like Theo Walcott being the best player in a soccer team. You've got fucking big issues. Game plan, I don't think, suits without experienced players in their pomp. I think it's a very regimented game system as well. I think West Coast are in a world of trouble. Gold Coast, I'm not saying that Gold Coast were brilliant because they beat a team that honestly is on its last legs. But Rankine, a guy that I was a big fan of in his draft, and Raul as well was phenomenal. He's a return to form. Tuck Miller, when you've got Tuck Miller, Noah Anderson, Raul, and players like Rankine, you've always got a chance. You throw in Ben King as well. He won't play this year, obviously, but I mean, that's a very good list. And Lukosius did really well for me up top there. But all in all, a good win. So back to my SuperCoach team. Pommy, what you thinking? I'm probably going to bring Martin in from Whittaker, to be honest. And that's probably my only change. I'll probably go in unchanged. I'm confident backing them in for another week. But let me know what you're doing. What games will you stand out? Big shout out to Nick Martin, though. What a debut. 5 goals, 1. I do give Essendon some love if I have to, and I can't really avoid that. But let me know what you're going in your SuperCoach team. How did you get on? Much love, and I'll see you on Wednesday for the preview. Go Blues. Have a great week.